Hi, welcome to the bathtub, where when you hear this new theme song, and we stop it really quick because we know we're going to get sued if we play too much of that. It's the car. We're working at the car wash, that song, and Dodo starts. She's going ape shit every time I start talking, and when she hears the bells. But she's a little bit better. We couldn't put her. I had her in exile for the last video, but I had to bring her back. So, Dodo, you want you to try to keep it down over there. And we're doing a new theme show. It's called Car Wash. And basically, all it's about is I'm going to show you books that I've decided I'm going to sell on eBay. For a long time ago, I did a video during the wonderful pandemic, which is still with us, just showing people. There goes Dodo now. She's up in the rafters. Just showing books on my shelves, and that was like the most popular thing I ever did on this stupid show. People just like looking at books. So I thought I'd just show you a bunch of books. And these are books that basically I'm selling, and they're great books. I don't want to sell them, but I kind of have to sell these damn books because I have so many books, I don't know where to put them. And then so a lot of things. Also, I'm getting old, and basically the human race is going to be dead. Really, we're all basically burning the planet to the ground. So what are we going to do? On that note, let me have a sip of our martini. So for years, I've been selling lots of my, excess books or duplicate books on eBay, and it keeps me out of trouble, just like this show does. And I've got I've been trying to clear the shelves. I have so many damn books. So I'm going to show you some of the stuff that I'm putting on sale. I'm not trying to sell them to you. Don't try to buy them from me. I put them on an eBay thing. I show you these cool books because I only keep them because they're cool and I think people might like them. But nobody visits me. I have no friends, and I just look at these books. I might as well get rid of them and show you some neat books before I go. Here's one of the least neat books I have in my collection. I used to have the entire Sunni edition of James Fenimore Cooper. This is one of his sea novels, The Red Rover. He wrote the Natty Bumppo books like Last of the Mohicans and so forth. I did my dissertation on him. And John Carlos Rell, hi John, one of my favorite people in the world, was my dissertation chair. And because of the theme of my dissertation, he said, we kind of have to do Cooper. And I said, okay. And I kind of, as much as I love John, I've resented it almost ever since because I hate reading James Fenimore Cooper. However, he is really fascinating. And I used to have this entire set. Here's another one. This entire set of these, they have really good historical introductions. This is Gleanings in Europe, France. One of his memoirs about traveling through Europe and his opinions on why basically Europe was a lot better than America because they had kings and people kept their property forever and they didn't have to pay taxes and stuff. He was basically kind of a Trumpist type asshole. And so, he was rich and his family was rich, so he wanted to stay rich. And he wrote some interesting books, but they were kind of boring. I'm not a big James Fenimore Cooper fan. So anyway, these are brand new. And I've saved them for years because I thought after doing my dissertation on him, I would want to go back and read James Fenimore Cooper and learn more about him. I've carried these books with me for 35 years. I figured I'm not going to read them. I'm getting rid of them. Here's kind of a book that annoys me. I bought this on the internet a week or two ago. I'm a David Goodis fan here. This is Night Squad. It's one of his Fawcett paperbacks, and it was really badly. I'm really not happy with ABE.com anymore. Not just because it's owned by that idiot Bezos, but it's very easy to get bad books on ABE now. And I bought this from somebody, and they showed the picture of the old faucet, and they charged. It was a good price for that book, and they sent me this stupid POD. Isn't that a crappy book? Anyway, I'm getting rid of that. Here's some books I'm getting rid of. I love having these books. When I was in London, I had all of Peter Ackroyd's London books, London biographies. I had them all, first editions, hardcovers. They're huge, fat books. They take up huge shelf space. I really like Peter Ackroyd's histories. I haven't read the Thames, but I walked around the Thames for years and years, so I always wanted to read this one. I have read his biography of Blake. Really enjoyed the biography of Blake. But I have all of these. I've got a bunch more here I'm selling, just because I decided I'm just going to get ebooks of them. Because they're, this is a lovely book, but I don't have room for every lovely book. So that's the sadness of this episode is I can't have everything. I can't have my cake and eat it too. What else am I selling? Oh, here, look. So I keep buying different editions of Clark Ashton Smith. Isn't that cool? This is an Arkham House first edition of Tales of Science and Sorcery. And I think he was still alive. No, he had died at this point. But he had, Arkham House did these lovely editions of his stories that had been out of print for decades when he brought them out, and they kind of preserved his work. I picked up a cheap Panther paperback. Well, not that cheap. A paperback just to make some room on my shelf. But, I do love the covers. And there's the cool... this guy he dressed and walked around, around Central California. He lived up in, I want to say, it was near Sacramento. Anyway, he lived there all his life. And eventually he retired in Auburn. That's right, Auburn, much of which is probably burning this summer, or has been burning the past few summers. He lived in this big family farm of his ranch, and he walked around with this kind of dilettantish air about him. He was kind of a brilliant writer. Here's another book I'm putting on eBay because I just can't keep it anymore. I used to have most of Dickens's. I'm a big Dickens fan. That's a first edition of Pickwick Papers. And for some reason, it's a bit, it's not it's a bit worn and aged and so forth. For some reason, I'll be very careful here. I can't, if you look on this page here, there's a picture there. There's something about that picture and the sign hanging over the pub that means that's a first edition. That's what somebody told me. I don't know. Anyway, it's a bit warped. I have a lovely Penguin edition. I'm never going to read it in this, I don't know. I hate to get rid of it, but I'm going to get rid of it. The Iliad. I got 2 or 3 copies of the Iliad in different editions. This is a book I keep saving because I kind of like the Norton critical editions. It's Edgar Allan Poe. And I've had it for 20 years and always meant to read it in this edition with the essays and so forth. But I've got a lot of editions of Poe, and I just said, I've got to make some room. It's gone. It's going. It's out of here. What else have we got here? This is, we've got The Betrayal of Descent. That's one of those books I always wanted to read. It's kind of a criticism of, it's about Hitchens, Christopher Hitchens, who I do hate. And it's easy to describe what a phony Christopher Hitchens was. But it's supposed to go after Orwell as well, and I never really got around to reading it. But I'm sure it's okay. Eric Sundquist, he wrote these very, very intellectual, knowledgeable lit crit books about Faulkner. I read this. I'm never going to read it again. I'd like to read it again, but I'm not going to. Here's a book. I've got all of Robert Colosso's books. I've never read them. I heard he's great. He's also translated by a writer. This is translated by William Weaver, but is it Tim Adams? I forget the guy's name. He's a British writer. He's got a really good translator for some of his books. Anyway, I don't even know anything about this. I forget what this is about, but I'm going to get rid of it just because it's really big and heavy, and if I get it, I'll probably get a paperback that gives me a little more room. And I just haven't read it in ages, and I don't know when I'll read it. Here's a complete poems of John Dunn. I like John Dunn, and it's a lovely Everyman edition, but I'm just going to get a paperback. I don't have room for it. Story of Connemara. A friend and I went on a drunken holiday once. We just walked and got drunk all over Connemara. People were the loveliest people. And I love it, the book. And it's great history, but I don't think I'm going to go back to Connemara. I don't know if I'll ever get on a plane again, the way the world's falling apart. Getting rid of some more of these kind of cool editions, but they're kind of big and heavy and blocky. I have a real trouble getting rid of and keeping Joyce Carol Oates. I really like Joyce Carol Oates. Here's a book of her essays, Woman Writer, and Solstice, one of her shorter novels, because I really do like her, but mainly I like her short stories, and I'm not entirely happy with her novels. Finally, let me just show you this last batch, and then I'm going to stop. One of the things I'm getting rid of, this is a book, I don't know, that's not what we're talking about either. These are books that I do love having. One is Under Compulsion by Tom Dish. He was an old friend of mine. I've got these signed by Tom. I'm not going to be alive much longer. I figure I'll just get some money for them. I hate selling them, but and I have the paperback Fun with Your New Head, and I have the stories. So basically, I'm scanning the little funny little things he wrote to me, and I have to sell it. Here's a cool book. I showed you this once before. I'm going to put this on eBay. I'm only going to ask. I'm going to ask a lot of money for it because I can't bear to part with it otherwise. This is Black Alice, the book that John Slottick and Tom Dish wrote together. And I got them both assigned at different times. It's got to be one of the few books where they wrote this book. It's a satire on unequal wealth, inequalities of wealth and race. It's about a rich white girl who wakes up black one morning. It's a pretty funny nightmare story. Here's a book. I really tortured myself. Turgenev's Letters. I carry this. I love Turgenev, and I always had this idea. Well, I'm going to sit down and read all of his letters someday. I've got a bunch of I got 2 biographies of him, and there's other biographies I could get e-copies of. So it's a wrench selling anything, but I'm going to get rid of it. It seems to be some people ask a lot of money for this book. I have no idea what it's really worth, but Turgenev's Letters. I had a really nice copy of this, and I had a really nice copy of one of my favorite writers, another favorite writer of mine, Oscar Wilde. We're going to do an episode on Oscar Wilde very soon. And this is the Selected Letters, edited by Ellman out of Oxford. And they're lovely books, but, I'm 66, I don't think it's a race between me and the world who's going to die first. I don't know if I'm going to have time to read either of these books, though I would love to read them both. Okay, I have a bunch more I might start showing you, but for now, I think that's enough, isn't it? Do you want to see one more? Here. Okay, I'll show you this one too. Here's another. I'm going to get these Dickens. I have them all in nice Penguin editions. Another first edition. That's Bleak House. Much nicer copy. Just this is actually quite clean. The pages are nice, and the text is nice. But I'm not going to read it in the first edition. I'd be afraid to drop. I drop it in the tub. I can't read this in the tub. So I have my Penguin edition. One of my favorite novels is Bleak House by Charles Dickens, and I want to reread that. Here's a book. I'm a big Harold Shields fan. This is called Happenstance. It's a hardcover book. It was basically a divorce told from his story and her story. So one's from the man's point of view, one's from the woman's point of view. And you turn it over. It's basically 2 sides of the same story. It's clever. And this is the hardcover by Fourth Estate. And there's another Cooper book, which I hadn't read, Notions of the Americans, which is basically his analysis of what's wrong with America, which is what's wrong with America is people keep trying to take his property away from him. He's kind of a creep. Anyway, Notions of America. We're not going to ever get around to reading that, so I'm going to have to sell that. These are the books I'm going to have to sell. Anyway, that's our new show is Car Wash Books I'm Selling for no reason except I have no room for them all. All right, happy bathing, Dodo. You've been terrific. You've been very good. And Lucky's good because I haven't let her in. So we've done pretty well this episode. Bye.